Today we will talk about printf function. So printf is a built-in method, just like println, and print is a built-in method in Java. So these methods are predefined in Java. They are used to print text, numbers, or basically anything to the screen. And we have already seen println and print in detail. But today we will talk about a new function, so method or function. So before we begin talking about it, I want to point out that as Java was derived from the C language, so this function is directly from the C language. So if you already know C, you will be familiar with it. But let's try using printf. So first of all, let's print a simple text. So to use printf, you have to use simple system.out, and then you have to use printf. Then uh, printf works a little different. If you want to print simple text, you can go ahead and print it, and it will work out just fine. But this is for a simple string or a simple text. If you want to print any variables, and or if you want to print variables, or if you want to print numbers or anything like that, you need to use the standard uh, format of printf. So let's begin. Suppose we have a number called 23, and we want to print this using the printf. So in that case, we will use system.out printf, and now the print has two parts. So first one is the quotation part, and second one is the arguments part. So these two parts are separated by comma. So let's talk about the first part first. So in the first part, we indicate the type of thing we want to print. We indicate what we want to print. For that purpose, we use format specifiers. So format specifiers are used to modify the output, right? So if you wanna print an integer to the screen, first you have to specify the format of it. So the format specifier begins with a percentage sign, and then you write the uh, D part. So here D means any integer. So if you want to print any type of integer, whether it's int or byte, you use this percentage D. And in the other part, you pass the argument. The argument is whatever you want to print on the screen. So now we have to pass an integer variable which will match with this percentage D, this format specifier. So here I can simply pass num1. So let's num. So now I passed in a variable. So let's try running our program. And as you can see, we're getting 23 printed here. So this is how we specify. And notice one thing. Uh, you can think of this as a string. So this will be our text that's printed on the screen. So suppose I add a space before it. So let's see what happens now. So now as you can see, a space is getting printed and then 23 is getting printed. So let's go through how this works. So first it will see an empty space. So as you know, if there is any text in a double quotation, it is printed as it is. So this empty space is printed as it is, and then it sees percentage %d. So now it knows that we will print an integer, right? So now it will jump to the argument part, and it will see there is an integer called num. So it will print the value of num since it's an integer. and therefore it's printing 23 that is stored into the num variable, and simply the string ends, so therefore this is it. This is what we wanted. And let's create one more number, and I'm gonna call it num2. I'm gonna give it 77, and let's try to print both of these numbers. So to print multiple integers, what I have to do, yeah, I have to add another percentage d. So now I have added another percentage d, and now I have to give it another argument. So this is my string part. Now I have to pass in another argument, right? And now I have to pass in num2, or I can pass num again. Now I am printing two different variables. So let's see what we get now. So as you can see, we are getting two different variables separated by space. So let's see how it works. So the order matters. So the order of format specifiers and variables, it matters. So if the first format specifier will match with the first argument. So since this is the first integer argument, therefore it will match with this. So and the second format specifier will match with the second argument. So the order of format specifier is according to the requirement. Suppose you write num2 first and num first. In that case, num2 will be printed first. So as you can see, num2 is getting printed first and num is printed after it. So this is what I was trying to show you, that order matters. You must specify the order in which you want to print your variables. And also let's try printing some characters. So let's have a single character called, let's call it ch, and let's give it a. So now let's try printing this, and also notice I'm adding an empty space between these numbers. If I skip it, these numbers won't be separated by a space. So let's print this character. So for to print characters, you have to use the format specifier called C. So percentage %C is used to print characters. And let's pass in the ch. So let's run our program now. So as you can see, A is getting printed. Let's remove this part. Let's comment it so it is basically removed. So as you can see, we got our character since percentage %C match with this. Let's make more characters, A, B, and Z. So now we created three character variables, and let's print all of these. So I have three format specified. That means I need three variables, and these variables must be characters. So ch1, ch2, ch3. It seems to be fine, but our program is confused. Oh, since I don't have ch2, so right. Okay, so let's run it now. Now as you can see, we are getting all three characters printed, but they are not separated by any space. So let's see how it happens. So it comes into this string, it checks that percentage %C is there, it goes to the argument part and it prints the first argument. Then it again sees a percentage %C, it prints the next argument. Then again it sees another C, so it prints the last argument. And there are no empty spaces between them, so we can insert spaces between them. So to insert, simply add a space after each character, and now we will get our spaces. And we can print some text also, like we can print my characters or. So now let's see what we get. So we got my characters are abc. So as string text is printed as it is, as you already know. And simply for float values or double values, let's say double n is equal to 1.0. So for these values we can uh, use another format specifier which is called percentage percentage f. So percentage f indicates so you want to print float, so decimal value. So let's give it an. So as you can see, percentage f is used to print decimal value. So let's see what happens. So as you can see, we got a floating point value. Similarly, you can make it float, and suppose you print a float with percentage d. What happens then? So as you can see, it is not giving us any error. We are simply printing this float as an integer. That is the only integer part of it. So let's run it. So as you can see, it is giving us an exception, and we can fix this by casting this to int. So now it should work fine. As you can see, we got it 1, and so this part is also done. And so that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching.